No, we're good.
You good? Okay.
It's gone. It's on.
Hey everybody, Adam with Bliss Mortgage. My NMLS number is 1225411. We're doing our second live stream for first-time home buyers, and we brought in Michael Mergner, who I mentioned in the last live stream, and he is our credit expert and has some information for you about credit. And go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
Hey, Michael Mergner with Off Credit Recovery. Pleasure to be on the live stream. Just came in to hang out and drop some knowledge and answer any questions that you all might have. And thank you for having me here, Adam. And
What an awesome time to drop knowledge, because I always need some, that's for sure. Hey guys, it's Mandy, North American Title, Claremont office. I'm glad to be here as well. So today, I guess these guys are going to drop some knowledge. Let's hear what they got to say.
And Mike, I was going to start off with you because I know you have a lot of information to share. You have a great story as far as why you got in the business. So if you want to share that, brief version of the story, and then
most
go into
certainly.
what you're say.
I mean, it's a really long story, so I don't want to bore people too much. But essentially, what got me into my industry, what got me to be professional in what I do, is I had credit issues myself. The schooling system failed me. Didn't talk about credit too much at home, and naturally I failed credit. Didn't really know any better. And Google has a lot of good information out there, but it also has a lot of bad information, and I was a victim of that myself. I made a lot of mistakes trying to fix it myself. So then I reached out for professional help. 3 different companies, actually. One really big one, I won't name them. Their initials are LL. And a smaller one that actually served me pretty decently, and then an individual that was operating a credit repair company, and they just disappeared with my money. So I had 2 bad experiences and one decent one, but still nobody held my hand to guide me and teach me what do I have to do to prevent me from getting into that situation again. So started doing even more research and continue on learning tips and tricks and all that good stuff. And now it's a passion of mine to educate my neighbors, my community, and make sure that everybody around me has good credit and they're not being taken advantage of the system, essentially.
That's awesome. And most importantly, what I heard there was everything on Google is not true.
No, unfortunately, the internet is not filled with 100% facts.
Yeah.
I think there was a commercial where they said bonjour, for the French model. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you have to do a lot of research. Yeah, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation. That's what the experts are for, is to help you figure out what the difference is.
Definitely.
Most certainly.
Awesome.
So what were you going to talk about today, as far as credit goes?
Well, I wanted to mention COVID, right? We got COVID going around, and it has impacted a lot of individuals, and recently it has impacted my side of the business. It's not even about my business, it's about the people that I'm serving, that I'm helping. And one thing that I wanted to kind of point out, that the CARES Act kind of messed us up when it comes to credit repair.
Yeah.
Credit bureaus normally have 30 to 45 days to do their investigations whenever dispute or challenge is sent out, and the CARES Act extended that. And they pretty much, not to get too complex, they gave the credit bureaus a free hand. And the CFPB, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, also didn't back us up. Consumers, not just credit repair companies, but consumers in general. They're giving full faith to the credit bureaus, and credit bureaus are playing games, essentially. So that's why it's important to really be ready before you think it's time to be ready, right? It's if you need some help with your credit, don't do it a month or 3 months before you're trying to make a large purchase. Give it time. Stuff happens. COVID happened. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect my clients to have slower results because of this, and it did happen. So give yourself some time. Be patient and plan for the future. It's not especially with home buying, it's not an overnight process.
Absolutely, something that can take years depending on your situation.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is there like a typical time range that it would take for someone to have their credit repair? But I guess it depends on how poor their credit is, or...
Well, each situation is different, right? So there's really 2 parts to my job. One is obviously deleting items that are hurting the credit, right?
Sure.
Anything that's not accurate, timely, or verifiable. If I have leverage, I'll get the deletion. Not everything does get deleted.
Right.
So we have to be strategic. Some items it makes sense just to pay them strategically, settle them, make arrangements with the creditors or collection companies. Others, it is what it is, essentially. Right. Being that I tend to focus more on future home buyers, yeah, I do ask the right questions. I want to find out, what's your time frame? I need to know if are we trying just to get a house as soon as possible, get under a FHA, first time home buyer, lower down payment, less of a credit requirements, right? Well, these days they went up, but in general.
Yeah.
And or if you're, you know, if your debt to income is too high, and you got $200,000 in student loans, and you're making $80,000 a year, you're not going to buy a home under an FHA. It's just not going to happen. We need to get you into a conventional. On average, it takes about 6 to 9 months to work with a client.
Okay.
Some are faster, some are slower. A lot of it also depends on the client. The second part of my job is really guiding the client, educating them on what they need to do on their end. I can't guarantee legally that I'll get something removed, right? I have a good track record. I have a great track record.
That's good.
Yes.
One of the reasons we work with them. One of the many.
But I can guarantee that I can teach my client what they need to do to move forward. And as much as I would love to help 100% of the people that come across, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. Some things just take time. Most clients, 90% plus, if they follow what I tell them to do, and business rolls as usual, we're going to have success. We're going to get you in that home. But if the client won't pay down their credit cards, if the client won't pick up another side hustle to save up money to pay down the debt or get a secured credit card, whatever it may be, or settle an account that will help them. You know, let's say somebody has a auto loan that it got repoed, got charged off, went to collections for 20 grand. That 20 grand, if they're under an FHA, it's really going to screw them with debt to income, essentially, right? So at that point, you know, we have a few options. If we need to move in faster, but the score is a little bit too low for a conventional, well, maybe we can go ahead and settle this for 30 to 50%. It's not going to disappear off the credit report, but it's going to help that client in that situation to make sure that they do qualify for their home. So, not something that anybody really signs up online. I mean, I guess the bigger companies do that. For me, it's personal. I need to go line by line and make sure that the client understands what they're getting themselves into.
Right.
It's not a set it, forget it, easy bake. Here's my credit card and fix my credit.
Yeah.
And we need to work together. So
everyone's doing their due diligence during the whole process.
Ideally.
Yeah. And that's what makes everything work, the due diligence part.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. Thank you. That's great. Yeah.
Cool. And actually, what Mike just said kind of brings me to a question that I get that I ask actually people that contact me is, are you ready to stop renting? Are you ready to buy? And that's a decision you have to make beforehand. And part of that, of course, is once you get your credit in order and you're ready to buy, you're going to reach out to somebody like me, a loan officer, and you're going to have a question. The main question I get is, you know, how much am I pre-approved for? Two different things. One, there's a difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. Pre-approval is you not only filled out a loan application with me and told me what your assets are, what your income is, and I see what your credit is. That's just a pre-qual. Pre-approval, you have actually showed me documentation that says everything that you just told me in the app. And that way, I know this person is actually can verify what they've said, and I have a solid basis of what their actual buying power is. But then the next question, of course, is how much am I pre-approved for? And it's not really a sale price so much as a monthly payment. And the reason that is because if you go to buy a house, say $250,000, and it's in a neighborhood with high taxes, high HOA, even potentially high insurance, possibly in a flood zone, things like that are going to affect your monthly payment, which means that you might have $250,000 of buying power there, but in a neighborhood with lower taxes, no HOA, things like that, you might be pre-approved for $300,000 or more. So it's really on a sliding scale, and that's why when people ask me how much am I pre-approved for, we ask two questions. what is your down payment goal? What is your monthly payment goal? And that's part of deciding whether you're done renting is how much can you comfortably afford, but also what working with someone like me will help you determine, is this payment comfortable? Is it a little too high for you? Is it low? Can you go higher? So that's really what we go over. So main question, one I get a lot is how much am I pre-approved for? If you work with a loan officer that just gives you a number, they're not really doing you a favor. They need to work with you to find out not only what you're pre-approved for monthly payment wise, but are you comfortable with that number? Because there's no reason to be house rich and cash poor, or vice versa. So
That's true.
So
I and it's none of my business, but I care for my clients. Really, I tell all my clients, I don't want you to be house poor.
right.
Yeah.
And the truth is, every county around us, it is more expensive to rent than to own these days.
Absolutely.
Even though the market is inflated a little bit, prices are a little bit more for homes, it's still cheaper to own than it is to rent, and
Definitely.
appreciation and tax advantages, all that good stuff, right?
Rent goes up, a fixed mortgage does not, unless your taxes go up or your insurance
True
does.
story.
But I did want to mention actually that I do tell my clients when I tell them not to be house poor is if you get a mortgage and you're comfortable paying $1,400 per month right now, that's not going to be the same forever. And mistakes happen, stuff happens. When I got my mortgage, everything set in stone, right?
Right. Well, that's what we think.
A year later, oops, there was something with taxes that miscalculated.
Sure.
Extra
sure.
$200 on my mortgage. At the same time, property taxes go up. They're limited if you have the homestead, right? 3 or 4% per year maximum. Insurance can go up, and I mean everything goes up. And
Hopefully your income does too, but that doesn't always happen.
That's true.
So.
That's
well, of
true.
course, but if you're the best employee ever, you're getting a 3% raise per year.
Yeah.
If you're
pretty much-
lucky.
if you're lucky, and that washes with inflation.
Yeah.
So you really have to move up or move
That's
out.
true.
And if I was in a situation at that point where, again, I guess it was somebody's fault. It doesn't matter at that point. I still have to pay it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
If I was in a situation where every penny was counted for, that would have been it. I would have been homeless. Home would have been foreclosed because that $200 is enough to put somebody over the edge.
And that's a great
That's-
point.
that is
That's
true.
perfect in that just because you're pre-approved now doesn't mean that you're pre-approved forever, and that you want to plan for contingencies like taxes going up. Taxes were miscalculated. I've had friends have that happen to them before, where the servicer on the loan might have miscalculated the taxes, under-collected, and now they have to over-collect.
And keep in mind too, guys, and this may help a little bit with the whole tax portion of that, is a lot of times the title company is giving the lender information based upon taxes that were paid last year if we don't have a trim notice yet.
Right.
Well, if there's homestead on the property, or if there isn't homestead on the property, that's going to make a difference too.
Correct.
So you have to keep all those things in mind as we are putting numbers together to get our clients ready to buy a home. Things do change. That's perfect. That's a
Absolutely.
perfect example.
Definitely.
It does happen. So for sure. Now, Adam, I do know that I have some friends who are like, they're ready to buy and they need to be pre-approved. So are you saying pre-approved or are you saying pre-qual? Which way should we go?
To make the strongest offer, pre-approval. And just to reiterate, a pre-qualification, and you're going to hear those words tossed around and interchanged, they're not interchangeable. Pre-qualification is you filled out an application and you told somebody you make $1 million a year and your credit's fantastic and you got $1 million in the bank. That's great. If your documentation doesn't say that, well, that's what you're actually pre-approved for, is what your documentation
Credit
says.
karma doesn't count.
Yes.
That's important because we
Yes.
just ran into that not too long ago.
That's right. The credit bureaus have different scoring models that they use. When you go to buy a car or furniture, for example, a lot of them will use FICO Model 8, which is your Experian score. You can go to Experian.com and get that score on there. They charge a monthly fee, though, don't they, for that?
No, so Experian does give you a free FICO 8, and it's across the board. TransUnion,
Okay.
Equifax also has FICO 8. They don't give the score for free, but it's an algorithm that they
Right.
use. There's actually over 60 different credit scores out there.
Right.
And we're getting
That's a
more
lot.
by the end of the year.
But checking your own score doesn't affect.
Not at all.
No.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, not at all. And
Okay.
when you go to get a mortgage, mortgage uses 3 different FICO models. FICO models 5, 4, and 2. The reason you need to know that is not that we're not going to test you and say, hey, what model are they using? No. It's that so that you understand that there's different models that are used to score different things. So when somebody calls me and they say their credit score is a 680, my first question is, how do you know that? Because unless a mortgage professional like myself pulled your credit for a mortgage, that's probably not your mortgage score. And so that's why we pull the credit to see with the scoring models that, and not just us, but any lender will use to help you buy a house.
What I will say, a lot of times, just to avoid any additional hits on the credit, and you can pull a mortgage credit a million times in a 14-day period. It will only score it as one pull.
That's right. Yeah.
But you're on that 15th day or 32nd day or whatever, it's going to affect your score. So clients that I'm quite confident they're just about there or almost there. Another way, and here's a tip, right? Another way to get
dropping some knowledge
to get your mortgage score. Yes, one way is through a lender, but the other way is to go to my FICO. It's not a plug, no affiliation.
Sure.
You can do a one-time pull. I think it's $60, or you can subscribe to their monthly subscription at $40 a month. We'll show you all of the FICO versions. FICO 9, FICO Auto Enhanced scores, 2, 4, 5 for mortgages, FICO 8, bank scores, all of that. And then you know the exact number of what you're working with. So, I mean, if Credit Karma's showing you a 650, for example, that's the Vantage score, and you're like, well, I should be good to qualify for a home. I'm seeing 620, 640 everywhere. I should be good. Pay the $40.
Yeah.
Take a look, see where you're at, and then you can go in confidently and say, hey, Adam, this is what I have. Beautiful. Go buy your house.
So I think I've asked you this before, Adam. How often do y'all suggest that someone does pull their score? So if they're, I mean, how often do we want to know where we're at with our credit score?
You know, I'm a big, at a bare minimum, everybody should, and I'm not a fan of them because they have mistakes. Have at least like a Credit Karma or something. It doesn't show Experian, but you can sign up on Experian for free.
Like I never pull my credit. Like I don't even, I don't know.
It's good to know. You don't necessarily need to pull your score unless you're actually buying something. But Credit Karma, the purpose that it serves is to see the contents of your credit report so that there's no surprises that somebody didn't report something that you don't know about.
Right.
And I check them maybe, or identity theft. Yeah, somebody is using your identity.
So if nothing else, something like that.
I believe it or not, had a situation one time where we pulled their credit. They didn't check Credit Karma or anything like that to see what the contents of their credit was. Somebody had stolen their identity, and it's a scam that is done where they actually take out credit in your name, and then they pay on it. So they actually build the credit up. And so they think, well, geez, they're helping me out. But yes, well, once they max out that $10,000 credit card, you're on the hook for it, and they say you've paid for it for 6 months.
Right.
These people are not helping you, by the way.
Right.
So definitely, the whole moral of that is credit is something that you want to stay on top of with whichever, like you said, my FICO or Credit Karma, somewhere where you can see the contents of your credit report and know what's there. Because as long as you're paying, I check monthly personally.
Yeah, I would subscribe to. You know, I'm. All my clients throughout the process, I require them to have the credit monitoring, so we see what's happening every month. What was removed,
every month,
or what wasn't removed, or what was paid, what wasn't paid.
Okay.
You know, it's nominal fee, $22 a month,
okay.
And you have identity theft protection. You get alerts. You know what's happening at all times. You go get a coffee. It's $8 right now at Starbucks.
Now, somebody Can they contact you if they need help doing something like that, or no? That's not anything that you would do.
At any point, yeah, most certainly.
Okay, that's good.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah, I actually have a negotiated deal with Identity IQ. Their normal credit monitoring is $30 a month, $29.99. I'm allowed to extend a discount. It's $21.99 for my clients.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
That's good to know.
Wonderful.
And then, of course, too, we'll drop everyone's information when we're done with the live so that you guys can contact us. So everyone's info will be in the comments.
And to wrap everything up, I want to let everyone know that we're going to take these videos that we're doing, these live streams, and put them on my YouTube channel, which I will start to share and promote, so that if you know anybody who's looking for a house, they want to, whatever they're trying to do to get ready, there's a lot of good advice here that's going to help them get to that point. Whether or not they work with us, we're here to help whoever. If you want to achieve the dream of home ownership, we want to help you do it. And the way we're going to do that is through doing these videos, but also sharing them, making them available to people who want the information. So, do you guys have anything else to add? Or
stay safe, save your money, check your credit.
Once a month.
Once a month, yeah. And yeah, please, I mean, if anybody has any question, I'd be more than happy to help out. Not everybody's a client for me. Like,
Yeah.
I generally do care about my community
Yeah,
and my
that's awesome.
and my people. Some, unfortunately, I have to send them to bankruptcy or refer them
Yeah.
to a lawyer because it's just they're not a client for me. Others just need advice. So if you need advice or have a question, please reach out. Alpha Credit Recovery on Facebook, Instagram, or cell phone. Text me. I'm cool with that too.
Yeah, every situation is different, you know, but we help everyone that we can help. We do our best to help them.
And as always, I'm always available, even if I'm not working a transaction, I'm always available to answer questions. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Awesome.
Have fun.
Was-
Guys,
Thanks for
it was
attending.
awesome. Thanks for seeing
Thanks
us.
so much. Appreciate
All
you
right. All right. Take care.
Until next time.